again. This is Tara Magitz. I'm an attorney with the law offices of Drinkwater and Goldstein, and this is one of a continuing series of videos on various topics and how they relate to New Jersey law. In honor of the holiday season that has just passed, I'm going to freak you out and talk to you about product liability cases and how they interact with injuries caused by presents given to children. So if that hasn't freaked you out enough, I'm going to start off by talking to you about what caused us to pick up on this topic for this month after Christmas. And it is an unfortunate story that has been making the rounds of a 4-year-old boy who was injured following Christmas by ingesting magnets from a toy that he had broken that he had received from Christmas. His ingestion of the magnets caused him to have to be hospitalized and undergo surgery because the magnets began to cut holes in his intestines after he had ingested them. And what he had broken is a fairly popular children's toy. If you're familiar with the tiles that are magnetic so that they attach together, he managed to break several of them and ingest the small magnets. And as it turns out, they were not one of the more popular and name brand versions of the tiles. They were an off-brand or a counterfeit brand. It's not completely clear. And so if you have such objects in your house and you have small children, especially those who are prone to breaking toys or chewing on toys, you may want to consider taking a look at them more carefully or removing them until your children are a little bit older or are prone to different behavior to avoid a similar such injury. So now, in addition to wondering whether or not the toys that we're giving to our children or family friends are toys that they want, now we have to worry about whether or not they are safe for our children to use and enjoy as they play. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, or the CPSC, is a U.S. based organization which identifies and handles toy recalls, amongst other recalls, based upon injuries that these toys can cause. So you should check the website for the CPSC to determine whether or not any toys your children have received this holiday season are on the list and whether there has been a recall because they may be potentially harmful. In addition, we've seen as a result of the rise in internet shopping, an influx of counterfeit or knockoff toys that are coming into the state of New Jersey and into the country generally. Adele Fasano, who is the port director for the Port of New York and New Jersey, gave an interview with New Jersey Radio 101.5 and indicated that in the fiscal year 2018, there had been more than 2,900 seizures of counterfeit merchandise. And that when you are doing your holiday shopping, please make sure that you purchase all of your products from reputable sources, because the CPSC does put the toys from reputable sources through various testing, and they are required to meet certain standards. Counterfeit or knockoff toys may not go through those same rigorous protocols and therefore may be more dangerous or potentially harmful for children. And checking this out before you do your shopping into the 2019 year is also something that you should be doing as well. And unfortunately, the CPSC's work in terms of making sure that the toys are safe for use and are not cheaply made knockoff or counterfeit toys, we don't give enough attention, I think, or care sometimes to the toys that we are giving to our children. And so defective, counterfeit, and dangerous toys are then the cause of thousands of injuries every year in the United States, such as the little boy who had to have surgery because he ate magnets. And so when our children are injured, we want to know first that our children are going to be able to be fixed, but we also want to make sure that the party or parties who caused the injury are held accountable. And in New Jersey and in all of the states, they are held accountable primarily through product liability laws, which are the legal rules concerning who is responsible for defective or dangerous toys. There is no federal product liability law, so each state will have their own product liability law and cases which are the standard upon which a case can be built, but also the standard upon which the plaintiff has to establish and meet their burden. Typically, product liability cases are going to be brought under theories of negligence, strict liability, or a breach of warranty. And they may also come from the Uniform Commercial Code as they relate to warranty in particular. As in any case brought primarily, well, I shouldn't say any, most cases, because strict liability has some changes to that. But primarily when you're dealing with a negligence case and product liability injuries, the plaintiff has the burden of establishing that the product that caused the injury in question was defective and that the defect made the product unreasonably dangerous. There are three primary types of defects that might cause injury and that the theory of liability is going to be built upon. The first is a design defect, that just from the very beginning of the design, that it was a product that should not have been built in the way or designed in the way that it was, that it's unsafe in that manner. The second is a manufacturing defect. We see these cases where the type of material used or the way that the product was built was either not to specs or had a defect in it, so that it causes the product itself to fail. And then the third type of defect is going to be a marketing defect. And when we're talking about a marketing defect, we're talking primarily about a flaw in the way that a product is marketed, such as improper labeling, insufficient instructions, or inadequate safety warnings. I'm sure every single one of you watching this video has seen a product where there has been a warning where you're just like, really? They had to put a warning like that on that? Thank product liability litigation and someone's injury. But as a result of that injury, it was determined that a warning or instruction was inadequate, and therefore that additional warning or instruction was in fact necessary to be placed onto the product for the safety of its use. Now, there are questions as to who is responsible. And as we've discussed, there's three primary types of defects. There's the design defect, the manufacturing defect, and the marketing defect. Each of those has the potential for certain parties to be held responsible. When you're dealing with a design defect, the responsible party would therefore be the person's company who actually designed the product itself. When you're dealing with a manufacturing defect, you're going to include the design elements because it's unclear as at the time of filing usually as to where specifically that falls, but you're also going to include, in addition to the design defendants, you're also going to include the parties who were involved in the manufacturing of the product itself. So we're talking materials suppliers, we're talking the actual plant processing company, potentially even the individuals who are actually responsible for building the individual product, in this case toys. And then when you're dealing with marketing defects, you're generally including the design and manufacturing defendants, and then you're adding on the parties who are selling the product. So in the past I might have said Toys R Us, but since they no longer exist, Stores that are popping up to take their place would be parties who we would consider naming in a product liability case dealing with toys. Now, there is a doctrine which is known as res ipsa loquitur, which stands for the thing speaks for itself. And it's really a legal doctrine where the plaintiff could have had no responsibility whatsoever for the injury that they sustained. In other words, there was no possibility that they were negligent. And in that circumstance, the burden shifts to the defendant to establish some other causation aspect. There's also strict liability. Strict liability is usually going to be found in statutes or legislation that the state has enacted, where certain types of matters are going to be held strictly liable without regard for the negligence of the plaintiff as the potential cause for any sort of an injury. And so that also shifts the burden over to the defendant. If your child has been injured by a defective toy, or you have questions about an injury or any sort of product liability case, please feel free to contact us. Our contact information is going to be found within the video. Again, I work for the law offices of Drinkwater and Goldstein. Our office is located in New Jersey. All of the topic and conversation that I have covered in this video today is based on New Jersey law. I spoke generally at times about product liability information that will likely be relevant to various states, but I am only licensed in the state of New Jersey, and I am not offering any advice as to the state of any other law, or the law of any other state, rather. So if you are not in the state of New Jersey but believe that you may have a product liability case, I would strongly urge and suggest that you reach out to a competent product liability attorney in the state where you reside or in the state where the product was manufactured or sold to you, so that you can discuss with that attorney whether or not under the law of that state, because as we said, typically product liability cases are based on state law, that you have a case that can be brought. If you have any questions or concerns about anything that has been brought up in the video, or you'd like to discuss anything further, or if you have any other topics that you'd like to get more information on in a video, please feel free to drop a comment, send me an email, give us a call, send us a fax, and we will take a look at that. And if we think that it's appropriate, you may see it pop up as the topic of a video in the coming months. Until next time, my name is Tara McGitz, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Drinkwater and Goldstein in New Jersey. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and that all of your children are safe and happy and healthy. Thank you. This is Tara McGitz from the law offices of Drinkwater and Goldstein. Please remember, as always, to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our brand new website, helpimhurt.law. That's helpimhurt.law. And the graphic should be somewhere on this video actually identifying what that is, and potentially with a link, so please feel free to come check it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks. See you next time.